Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucs. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. As always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast. Happy September 25th, 2025 to you and yours. Hope everybody is having a wonderful day, whether you're here in the Tampa Bay area or abroad. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. The more you guys share, the more you guys follow, the more you guys subscribe, the bigger this thing is going to grow. And of course, we can do it a multitude of ways. All right. We got the t-shirts coming out soon. We got the memberships coming out soon. Of course, we always have the super chats as well. If you can contribute $1, $2, $5, $10, $20, whatever you can do to contribute to the program, every little bit helps. And of course, our partners right here, starting with Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, 813-244-0956. All of your residential or commercial needs, Russ and the group over there will definitely take care of you. And then, of course, our new partners that have started this past Monday, Evara Health, Evara Health.org. All the information you're looking for healthcare here locally in the Tampa Bay area, they can help you out. And today, the debut of our brand new segment at 12:30. This is going to be every Thursday at 12:30. Dr. Rodriguez from Evara Health is going to join us for our Evara Health Injury Report. And we will discuss with him every single Thursday at 12:30 the biggest injuries in the world of football to help you with your betting, with your gambling, with your fantasy football. Should I play this guy? Should I not play this guy? Every single Thursday at 12:30, Dr. Rodriguez will join us here on the program. And then I'll answer some of your fantasy football questions as well. So if you want to get some fantasy football questions in, you can start loading them up in the chat right now. Questions, comments, concerns, put them in the chat as well. And then if you ever want to join in on the program, the link is right there in the chat. You can watch on your phone or on your laptop. You can join in via your phone or your laptop, StreamYard.com/2MZG DWH9ZV. Click on that link. Again, whether you're on your laptop, whether you're on your phone, and you could join in on the program and talk about whatever the hell you want right here on the Recher podcast. We will start the program today talking some Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What is the latest from One Buc Place over at the Evara Health Training Center? We'll give you a update on that. Also, a lot to get into on the program today. I mentioned 12:30, the injury report with Dr. Rodriguez. At 1 o'clock, they're on the ice right now over there in Brandon. Is Andrei Vasilevskiy there? Is Braden Point there? Not good. Not good at all. 1:15. Our good pal Tom Jones. You remember Tom Jones from many years at the Tampa Bay Times and also on the air on WDAE in the mornings with Rick Stroud on the sports page. So we will talk a little bit of all things Tampa Bay sports with Jonesy there. He now works at the Poynter Institute. So this is a guy that's pretty much seen everything there in the Tampa Bay area talking about sports. And then 1:45, we were supposed to join us yesterday. He did not join us yesterday. He had some class stuff going on. So we switched it up. He's joining us today at 1:45. USF Football standout wide receiver Chas Nimrod joins us on the program. We're going to talk about his cat. We're going to talk about growing up and playing some soccer, and what is it like to be able to play with a guy like Byron Brown. Guys, you got to help contribute here on the program. So if you're watching, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter/X, everybody right now, kill that like button, man. Smash that like button, just like our guy David Terry says. If you haven't, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notifications bell so you get an alert every single time we go live. Once the memberships go out, we're going to be doing special individual streams talking sports as well. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. Let's get to some of these comments before we start the show. Benny's number one today. Just don't be weird, Benny. Do not be weird. A lot of talking heads say Cowboys and Packers is the best game of the week, as if there aren't two 3-0 teams playing this weekend. I mean, what do you expect? That's why I don't listen to a lot of those talking heads. If you want to get your predictions in for this weekend, Buccaneers and Eagles live from Raymond James Stadium at 1 o'clock. I will not be in the building. I'll be actually on the baseball field this weekend. And then I'm going to Ian's and spending time over there. So if I get a chance to watch the game, I will be doing a Recher's Rapid Reaction from the Dignitary Cafe. So if you've never been there, you want to come watch the game with us, 4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard. Come check us out. Should be a lot of fun there. We've got 21-20 from David Terry, thinking that the Bucs are going to win this one. All right, good. 145. We have confirmed Chas Nimrod, 145 today. Good stuff there. Bucs 21, Eagles 20 for DT. Carlos Baserva in the house. What's going on, Jay? Bucs versus Eagles, game of the week for sure. Dolan as well. David Terry looking for JR swag. We got to do some crazy JR. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool as well, my friend. No doubt about it. Bucs, Eagles, definitely the marquee matchup, but of course, nationally, Green Bay at Dallas to talk for obvious reasons. Cowboys, Micah Parsons, we understand that. We get that. But as much as we've been talking about the Buccaneers injuries, I mean, we're also talking about a lot of injuries to the Eagles as well, with Lane Johnson and looking at all these different players missing their interior linebackers with Vaughn and also with Jihad Campbell. And I really thought when we look at this is the initial injury report from yesterday. I want to play this and put this up on the screen for you guys if you missed it on the yesterday. And of course, there's another injury report that comes out today, but this is the one from yesterday. Mike Evans, obviously, we know he's out with the hamstring injury. Logan Hall was working to the side today, so I doubt that he's going to be in there. Still no Christian Izzian. Charlie Heck, limited. Baker Mayfield had a sleeve on his right arm. They're saying it's a right biceps injury. Let's just hope that it's some soreness. When I start thinking of arm injuries, I definitely get a little I get agita or just start tweaking a little bit because I start thinking about baseball. And if there's one baseball injury that can translate over to football, is definitely with your quarterback and usually his right arm. So hopefully it's nothing long-term with Baker. Limited in practice was Tristan Wirfs. A full go, and this is yesterday, was Chris Godwin Jr. You look on the other side, who wasn't practicing? Zach Bond and Jihad Campbell, both of the interior linebackers for the Philadelphia Eagles. You have Adoree Jackson, their second corner, didn't practice as well. Lane Johnson, limited, had that stinger on the tush push. We're not worried too much about Tanner McKee and Will Shipley, but those first four guys on that list are huge. So it's not just the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that are dealing with injuries heading into this matchup on Sunday. The Philadelphia Eagles are dealing with some injuries as well. Evolve official in the house. Bucs win 21-17. Let's go. Dolan, I think the Bucs hang out with Philadelphia, but I can't confidently say the Bucs are going to win. I think the injuries finally catch up with this. I hope I'm wrong. The Eagles team is stacked, yeah, and I'm sure they're looking at the Buccaneers team, looking at them and saying, man, they always seem to find a way. It's just the way it goes with this team. All right, so from today's practice, what do we know so far? All right, we know Baker Mayfield, who's listed with that biceps injury on his throwing arm, practice today, again with that sleeve. He should be good to go for Sunday's matchup with the Eagles. I said this, and if you missed it on the Beckles and Recher podcast yesterday, the most important thing coming out of this Sunday's game, I know you want to win the game. All right, you play to win the game, as Herm Edwards once famously said. But my big thing, and what's going on to Bart Hill in the house, no more big injuries, and certainly nothing, and we're knocking on wood here, nothing involving Baker Mayfield. You got to come out of this game as scot-free as humanly possible. Nothing more when it comes to the injury front. It just seems like it's the walking wounded. And I got to go, and it's tough because I don't know if there's more injuries or less injuries, and we've seen in other years, but it's such a crappy thing about football where every single week we got to talk about a guy being banged up or a guy being injured. And look at all the guys just right now in the beginning of the season. I mean, I can go down the list. I'll go down the list of the teams in the National Football League and think about how many guys are not available as we speak, right? You look at a guy like Justin Fields, who wasn't available for the game last week. Joe Burrow was injured in Cincinnati. So there's another one. You look at kind of going down the list here. George Kittle's out. He's on the IR. Mike Evans is injured. We have already talked about guys like How about Rashawn Slater, the left tackle for the Chargers? He's out for the year as well. You're going up and down this list, and you're like, damn, this guy's out. This guy's hurt. CeeDee Lamb is banged up now. I saw that Malik Neighbors missed practice yesterday. Jaden Daniels is out, right? So you're looking at all of these different names. Micah Parsons not 100%. J.J. McCarthy is out, right? I mean, it's crazy, man. Crazy. Brock Purdy out in San Francisco. So you go throughout the names, you go throughout the divisions. I mean, it's almost like in the beginning of this season, it's your goal for your team should not be anything other than try to sustain and just try to survive, hang on, survive with a decent enough record and be as healthy as humanly possible. You think about all the guys that the Buccaneers have already lost for the season in guys like David Walker and J.J. Roberts and Kalijah Cansey and who's the other one? And then Cody Mauch. Luckily, you're getting guys like Godwin and Wirfs back here very, very soon. Luke Gedeke should be back in a couple of weeks. And then hopefully Christian Izien as well. But it's almost a war of attrition through these first 6-7 games. And I don't know if it ever stops for football. You don't necessarily, and Ian says this a lot, you don't necessarily get healthier as the year goes on. So it's who handles these injuries better than the rest. And for some that say, oh, it's good to get them out of the way, that's not always how it works. And Detroit was probably saying that last year. Oh, let's get some of these injuries out of the way and we'll get these guys back. And they just sustained it all year long. Or they didn't sustain it. They just had to deal with it all year long. My guy Steve Massey in the house from North Carolina, his fantasy team is looking like injured reserve. Now, Steve was one of the better pitchers with me growing up. This guy threw like a palm ball, flat ball. He could eat 6 hot dogs and drink a bunch of Yoo-Hoos and still go out there and hit bombs. And he always wore number 51. Steve, who is on your injured reserve? I want to hear who's on your injured reserve, because my MASH unit on my team already, I have Evans, I have George Kittle, I have Cashman, the linebacker. It's a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass. Just too much. Too much. I'd rather have 20 holding penalties than Baker going down. David Terry, I am with you 100%. Janet Best, this game is a huge test. Dade Los, I wouldn't be surprised if we lose this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if we won, but I'm always going to bet on the Bucs. Nathan Elliott in the house as well. Go check him out. His tailgate this weekend, this Sunday, Bucs and Eagles. Yeah, you're right. I'm with you. I'm going to go back to this comment by Los. Me neither. Me neither. And if you win, great. If you win, you're looking at a team that is 4-0, and you'd have to argue that they're one of, if not the best team in football. These stupid-ass rankings that people come out with, I swear, they don't really try to rank the teams in the right order. They don't care. That's not the goal. It's almost like that girl that was voting for the AP a couple of weeks ago. It's like, whatever, it'll work itself out. Man, I could never operate like that. You may like what I have to say. You may dislike what I have to say. You may agree with what I articulate. You may disagree with it. But I guarantee you, and I promise you, I will never do something and just be like, fuck it. I don't really care about it. I'll just give you like a half-assed comment. And I can't do something like that. I will never do something like that. So when these people come out with these rankings, all they do is they put out these rankings so people can argue. And so people can tell them they're crazy, because they know it's like engagement farming. They just want people to talk about their list. I mean, you're right. Nathan Elliott, disputes in the rankings cause ratings. Yeah, I get it. But it's just like, I don't know. I just think it's cheap. It's cheap fodder. I'm not a fan of that. I'd rather you disagree or agree with something that I have passion about and something that I really believe in, rather than just something just to farm engagement for shit that I don't really believe. Like I saw 2 different rankings this week that one had the Chiefs over the Bucs and the other one had the Ravens over the Bucs. 2 teams that are 1-2 over the Bucs. And from what you've seen, maybe, okay, Baltimore, you say, all right, they're better than their record. The 2 games they lost, high-scoring affairs to Buffalo and Detroit. Maybe I see that one. But the Chiefs, have you watched the Chiefs? You can't tell me you're looking at the Kansas City Chiefs right now and you think they're a better football team than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Not a freaking chance. No way in hell. Have you watched both of those teams? And I have. I watched both games. I've watched all 6 games. I've watched the games, the national TV that helps when it's Kansas City. When you watch those games, they're not better than the Bucs right now. Not a chance. No freaking way. Even with the injuries. I'm telling you. The Giants had a pulse, any kind of a pulse last week. They make that a game. And it wasn't even like a blowout. My guy Steve, Evans and Kittle as well, man. It's painful. Hello to the generates. Lady Evil, you're late. You are late. All right, so it's all about our guy Vince in the house helping me out with my inflammation with the green pill. Now, what we're gonna have to do, all right. Vince has been, I think, 13-3 on his last picks. If our guy Vince continues with these strong showings, we might have to bring him on the show. I mean, Vince Gagnon might have to come on the show, and he might have to be our expert picker all week. We're going to have a guest picker. And Vince, I mean, he's getting all these bets down. If you guys want to get in on the bets with Vince, we're going to give him one more week. If he goes 0-4 this week, he's out of there. But if Vince can get these picks again, I think he said he was 13-3 yesterday. I mean, he might be missing the boat. The Scanio, what's another word for betting? That would Vince's victory bets. It's not too bad. It's not scatter your bets, scatter the bets with Scanio. I like that, man. Makes a lot of sense. Vince, you keep up the good work. We're gonna have to get you on the program as a regular. Shout out to Honest Hammer in the house. Again, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, like we told you to start the show for all your residential and commercial needs. 813-244-0956. Hammer, the man. These are the kind of people that you want to work with here in the Tampa Bay area. Love Russ and the whole crew over there. Definitely got to get out to a job site again very, very soon. All right, some other things, some other updates from practice today over at the Evara Health Training Center at One Buc Place. Logan Hall only working on the side with the trainer. The groin injury is not as serious as some may have thought initially, but I doubt with him working on the side on Thursday that he's going to be available for this week. Now, what we've been able to glean over the years when it comes to football, and somebody like myself who's been doing this for over a decade, is you never really know for sure, because what happens between Saturday and game kickoff on Sunday, guys can get worse, guys can get better, but you kind of can get a gauge. You can get a percentage, 75, 85% spot on whether a guy's going to play or not. And usually at this time of the week, when a guy's working on the side with the trainer and not working with the team, like Logan Hall, he's probably not going to be out there Sunday. Now, playoffs are a different animal. You never know, right? The guys are willing to go through more. Christian Isian not out there. It looks like he's going to be out as well. Mike Jordan's still not practicing with the offensive line, so he won't be an option at the guard spot after being out there early on this season. The big names, Tristan Wirfs, he practices normal today. But according to the reporters that were there at the Evara Health Training Center at One Buc Place, did not see Chris Godwin. But according to our guy, Greg Allman from Fox Sports, sounds like that's part of his schedule to have him practice twice a week till his return. I wouldn't think of it as a setback towards Sunday. There's a lot of people that are feeling that Chris Godwin is going to be in, and then a lot of the local guys and gals are looking at Tristan Wirfs. So if I was a betting man, I would say that both Chris Godwin and Tristan Wirfs would be in the lineup this weekend. Both of them in the lineup this weekend. Now, another conversation, ironically enough, it was with our pal yesterday, Vince Gagnon, about, well, if you want to hold guys that, if they're not 100%, hold them out for another week. That's not necessarily the way it goes in professional sports, and especially in the National Football League. It's not necessarily how it goes, because what happens is if a guy's healthy enough to play, then he plays. He's out there. They don't see it as like, all right, well, what is one more week going to do it? You're never going to be, I think, 100% healthy. You got to be able to get out there. You got to be able to get out there. You got to be able to knock some rust off. And for Chris Godwin and Tristan Wirfs, they're different kind of cats. They're different dudes. And we know that from what we've seen in the past with some of these guys, especially a guy like Nikita Kucherov and Tristan, how they come back. For certain guys, when they first come back, you can tell they've been out a while. And then others, they kind of make it look pretty seamless. Do we expect a guy like Chris Godwin to be able to go out there and to play the same percentage of plays that he usually plays? No, I don't think so. But just his presence being out there takes some of the heat off of everybody else, including Baker Mayfield, including Emeka Egbuka and Tez Johnson and Sterling Shepard. So to have Chris Godwin out there, especially on third down, will be a huge boon for our Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Double H is in the house. Going to be hard to watch the Ryder Cup from Section 220, but he'll manage. You got that right. If you missed our full Ryder Cup preview with Bob Herrick from Sports Illustrated. We did it live from the Ryder Cup yesterday in Bethpage on Long Island. So go check that out on the channel when we are done today. Eagle fans look like walking porta potties. Let them know. Nathan Elliott. Okay. He's coming out the gates firing this guy. Cry, Eagles, cry. From Philly to the Bay, the Buccaneers will make you lose the day. Cry, cry, cry. From the field to the plane, we thank you for spending your money in Tampa Bay. Cry, cry, cry. This guy, Nathan Elliott, is on a heater. He is on a heater. Shout out to our guy, Chan. He's always helping us out with the super chat. Man, Chan, you are the best, buddy. Thank you so much. If you guys ever want to contribute via the super chat like Chan, that is the way we're going to keep this thing going. $1, $2, $5, $10, $20, whatever you guys can do. Every little bit helps. And I mentioned this a couple of days ago. We had the largest contribution from the super chat the entire year, from August 21st to September 21st. And I can't thank you guys enough. It just, every little bit helps. And I want to continue to grow this podcast. We've heard so many good things and a lot of great feedback. And it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm going to continue to work to make it bigger, bigger, bigger. But you guys have to help out too. You have to be there. You got to contribute to all this stuff. So, yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic about the game this weekend. And, I think we have a semblance. We kind of have an idea of what's going to happen now as far as the injuries. It's starting to get locked in. I would be surprised right now if Chris Godwin and Tristan Wirfs do not play on Sunday. I'd be very surprised. This could be a NFC Championship preview. It's like deja vu, and we got you. Thank you, David Terry. So now talking to Josh Capo, and then yesterday from Pewter Report, and also talking to Ian Beckles on the program yesterday. Tristan Wirfs returns. What does the offensive line look like? Now, they were not allowed to report on it in practice yesterday. Just the media, the PR people said, you're not really allowed to video certain like game plans and certain plays and how they line up. So that's another thing that they kind of just let everybody know, hey, let's not do that. But especially because of what has happened with the offensive line and how the Buccaneers have shaken it up, they certainly don't want that getting out early. But you would think if Tristan Wirfs is back, he's going to left tackle, no doubt about it. He's going to protect the blind side of Baker Mayfield. And then you have Bredesen going from center to left guard, and you have Graham Barton going from left tackle to center. And then you have maybe Feeney comes in, the veteran, at right guard with Charlie Heck at right tackle. Now, that is the closest thing that you've gotten to your starting offensive line since game one, where it was well, no, I mean, this is this will be the closest. I think back to week one where Graham Barton was playing left tackle. So, yeah, I mean, we haven't seen anything close to what we're used to. We were hoping that it was going to be Gedeke, Mauk, Barton, Bredesen, and Wirfs, but we haven't even been anywhere close to that quite yet. So we'll have Tristan Wirfs at left tackle, Ben Bredesen at left guard, Graham Barton at center, and then we'll see with the next two spots. You would think that Charlie Heck's at right tackle. But you're going to need everything, and you're going to need everybody, and especially up the middle to get Graham Barton, who's been doing really just busting his ass out there at left tackle. They're going to need him in the middle. They're going to need him and Ben Bredesen to work together, whoever the guard is, whether it's Feeney or Klein or Haggard, whoever's going to be able to play right guard. You have a huge matchup coming up, literally and figuratively, where you have Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. And I want to bring this up too. I think we missed the boat. We may have missed the boat on why Desmond Watson is brought in by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And as much as we want to talk about, Dez is in and it's a good thing for them, as far as the Buccaneers doing something nice for Desmond Watson, listen, they're doing this for a purpose. They're doing this for a reason. They're doing it out of the kindness of their hearts. No, I don't think so. Desmond Watson's in here to help with the tush push. I don't think so either. Now we're hearing from Todd Bowles. I think we learned why Desmond Watson, why the Buccaneers would bring him in. And they're bringing him in to help battle the size of Jordan Davis. And we saw what Jordan Davis was able to do last week against the Rams. Huge factor, running back the field goal for a touchdown. Says he hasn't run that fast since he ran his 40 at the combine. That's the reason why Desmond Watson is here with the Bucs, isn't it? He's not here for the Bucs. He's there to be the scout guy, Jordan Davis. So for all the talk about, oh, the Buccaneers are doing something nice for this kid. Oh, they see some promise. They see some potential. Oh, they're bringing him in to help Vita Vea with the tush push. And again, the Buccaneers battle the tush push probably about as good as anybody in the National Football League. For all that talk about the multitude of reasons of why Desmond Watson has been in and around the Buccaneer facility and why they brought him back for the practice squad this week, I think the reason why they brought him in the first place is to simulate going up against a guy like Jordan Davis. There just aren't that many humans that are that big that are anywhere in the realm of professional football. So how do you simulate that? Well, the way that you do that is you go and you get a guy like Desmond Watson, you bring him in, you have him work out with you guys, you get him used to, the lay of the land there at the Evara Health Training Center at One Buc Place. And then you bring him in the week of playing the Eagles and you stick him on the scout team. And now your offensive line has some semblance of what it is like to face a guy that big. Now, are they going to be exactly the same? Of course not. But who else are you going to go out and get there and bring him in and make him, make your offensive line feel like you've gone against a guy that big? Make your offensive line feel like, oh, wow, I've seen a guy that big before. It's almost like what you see from boxers or MMA fighters where, let's say you're a big-time UFC middleweight contender and the champion is this tall, lanky, left-handed Muay Thai specialist. Well, you know what you're going to do? You're going to use all of your resources. You're going to reach out to a bunch of different people, and you're going to bring in a guy whose style is as close to the fighter that you're about to fight for the championship. You see this, you hear this all the time. And the Buccaneers are taking a page out of that book. The Buccaneers are taking a page out of that old school combat fighting mentality of let's bring in somebody that's similar to the guy that we're going to go up against during the weekend. And let's see if that'll help us in our preparation. Now, the Buccaneers are not just playing the short game here. They're playing the long game because as much as they knew they were going to play the Philadelphia Eagles in the regular season, they also know that there's a decent chance that they'll face them in the postseason as well. And if you see Jordan Davis in the playoffs, will you be ready to go? Will you be better prepared? Will you be better prepared for facing that huge mountain of a man there in the trenches because you've practiced against Desmond Watson multiple times? It could. I don't think it's asinine to take that approach. I think more teams should probably do stuff like that. When you're a good team and you're trying to be a great team and you're trying to be a Super Bowl champion, you got to operate within the margins. It's all the little things. It's what do you got to do to get that little bit of a lead, a little bit of a competitive edge over your opponents. That's why you heard about things like Deflategate, and you heard about all these different things of guys like bending the rules. It's why Deflategate happens. It's why the Houston Astros bang trash cans, right? That's what happened. Teams that are already good, they know it's not just, you don't want to get here. You want to be at the top of the mountain. You don't want to climb 95% of Mount Everest. You want to be able to get to the top, and it's by any means necessary. Sometimes it happens within the confines of the rules. Sometimes it happens outside the confines of the rules. But right here, this is another example of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. Bringing in Desmond Watson to help them maybe not directly on the field during the game on Sunday, but in preparation to facing one of the most imposing figures on the best defensive line in all of football. Very smart by Jason Light and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, every single Thursday, we are going to have our Evara Health Injury Report. And Dr. Rodriguez is going to join us here on the program. Let's make sure that I got everything with us here. And let's bring him in. Dr. Carlos Rodriguez here on the program. Doc, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, good. How are you? It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, thank you so much, man. You look sharp. I love the orange shirt. Looking good, man. We're ready to roll, my man. Thank you so much. And we're going to do this every Thursday at 12:30. We're going to take a look at some of the biggest injuries throughout the National Football League and help all of our people here in the Tampa Bay area, whether they're setting their fantasy lineups, and we know how crazy it is. And I know you, Doc, as a big sports fan, you're excited for hockey season coming up, a season ticket holder. You're jacked up, man. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Let's start off the bat with Tristan Wirfs and Chris Godwin, Doc. I mean, fans have been waiting to see these guys come back, and it looks like Chris Godwin's off today, but all signs point to him playing on Sunday. Same thing with Tristan Wirfs. What can you tell us about their injuries and their recovery, and would it surprise you that they're back so early in this season?
No, it wouldn't. So Tristan, I think, was having some knee issues towards the end of the season last year. Right. And then in the offseason, he had arthroscopic surgery because he re-injured the knee. My thinking is that he either had a meniscus or a cartilage injury inside the knee. So typically recovery time, if you have an arthroscopic surgery for a meniscus, is about 4 to 6 weeks. But it takes a little longer to recover your strength, recover your motion, especially when you're going to be playing at an elite level. So usually look at about a 3-month recovery time, which puts us right here in October.
Nice. So
he was projected to return, I think, October 5th. He may be available to play this Sunday. Depends on how he's been doing in practice. So we'll be able to see him against the Eagles.
Yeah. Before I ask you about Chris Godwin too, I want to ask you about that because I think it's very important for people to understand, because we've heard that Nick Paul and the Lightning, he's going to be out. He's got like a tear in his left wrist, and it's happened late, and people are wondering, like, why not get the surgery earlier? And same thing with Tristan Wirfs. They're looking at this situation of why did they wait so long into the offseason to go get surgery? Can you tell just the fans that have that question of, is it just a case, Doc, of sometimes you want to see if things to heal on their own, and then when you go out and then you start working on, then you realize you need surgery? Or is it deeper than that? Because people are wondering, Tristan, if he knew that he had some knee issues last year, why didn't he operate it on it in the beginning of the offseason so he'd be ready for week 1? What do you think?
Well, the thing is that a lot of injuries don't need surgery. So he may have just had a minor issue going on with the knee. You want to give it time to heal without surgery. I mean, surgery is never without complications. So if you want to stay away from the knife, stay away from issues like infection, bleeding, loss of muscle tone, and things that can happen after surgery, you want to delay it and give it a chance to rehabilitate and see if they do better. But in this case, he re-injured it. He has something happen in the offseason during the summer that he re-injured the knee. Now it became aggravated. Maybe now the symptoms are worse. You do another MRI, you look at it and you go, you know what? Now we got to go ahead and intervene. And it's the same thing with the wrist. A lot of cartilage injuries may heal a lot better without having to do the surgery, but it gets to the point where, we gave conservative treatment, we gave it time to heal, and it just didn't progress the way we expected it to. So at that point, you opt for surgery. Surgery is usually your last resort. It's never your first option.
I love that, Doc. And that's such an important thing for people to know, because I try to tell a lot of people, and again, I don't nearly know as much as you do, my friend, but one thing that I've heard for many, many years covering sports is surgery is the last option. It isn't just, hey, let's go under the knife. It's not something, especially professional athletes. I mean, their body is their temple. Their body's everything to them. It's what has allowed them to become these, $1 million performers. And the last thing they want to do, and like you said, complications, you never know what's going to happen, because a lot of people feel like once you go under the knife once, you open yourself up to other things, right? So I love how you explained that. You were spot on. All right, so Chris Godwin, a crazy injury last year with the ankle. His foot's on backwards. It's like, oh my gosh, your heart goes out to him.
That is one of those injuries. You watch the video, it makes you cringe. You want to look away. It happened week 7 last season, so that was October 21st. Usually when you have a dislocation like this, there's multiple ligaments that are going to be torn also. You got to look at the ankle as kind of a wedding ring. If it tears in 2 places, that ring is going to become unstable. And that typically happens when you dislocate. You have multiple injuries. So he had surgery, and this surgery is usually going to involve some hardware being put in. Pins, plates, screws, depending on what he had. You're then going to be immobilized for about 4 to 8 weeks. So usually a cast or a boot. And then you start some intensive rehabilitations to get your strength, your range of motion back, what we call proprioception, which is kind of your feeling of your limb in space. And barring any complications, you usually look at about 6 to 9 months in recovery after the surgery. He is right now close to about 11 months out from the injury and from the surgery. So he's been practicing. We're looking at it. This is the right time frame for him to start back. So if he's been doing well in training, practice, pain is good, range of motion, strength, all of that, then we should expect him Sunday against the Eagles.
I love that. Doc, what's the big difference between, when you look at sports specific, right? I mean, how much do you have to factor in what sport they play because of certain sports where it's contact, right? I mean, you have football where it's not just, oh, wow, you can go out there and run. You don't have to worry about 250-pound men coming flying at you. How does that kind of change as far as what sport they play, where it's maybe if it's baseball, it's a little bit different because you're not worried about these guys coming after you?
Yeah, no, it makes a big difference. I mean, football, there's a lot of impact, a lot of stress, a lot of explosiveness in their motion. So whenever you're looking at a lower extremity injury, you want to make sure that that is completely healed, rehabilitated before they go back in. It could be different, as you say, in baseball. I mean, they're a little static around the home plate. They're doing some running and some sprinting around the bases and maybe out on the field, but there's really no big impact coming at them. I mean, it's really different when you have a big linebacker coming at you, a big defensive back coming at you, and a lot of times you may be hit below the waist. So it's completely different sport. The impact, the contact that's involved with it, just takes it to a different level.
One of the big things, too, we got to see, well, what we see nowadays is we see quarterbacks that are a lot more agile and they run a lot. And we're looking at Jaden Daniels, the former Heisman Trophy winner, did such a fantastic job last year in his rookie campaign with Washington. Mm-hmm. He's dealing with a knee sprain. And for a guy like that, Doc, who uses his legs so much, it really is. I mean, what sets him apart from everybody else? Do you run the risk of further, what is that an injury where if he plays, it could be worse? Or is it one of those things where it's a pain tolerance thing without, because they're very vague when it comes to the specifics of the injury. Right. What are you keeping an eye on when you look for a guy like that who uses his legs so frequently to be successful in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the knee sprain. I mean, what sprain? What was sprained? There's 4 different ligaments. So it all depends on what ligament was sprained, what the expectation is to go back. So he did that week 2. So it's, September 11th is when he got hurt. Next game is now on the 28th. He's been considered day-to-day. He had some limited practices yesterday. So for a mild to moderate sprain, whether it's your collateral ligaments or the ligaments on the outside or the ligament in the inside, your ACL, you're looking at about a 2 to 4 week recovery time. If you're looking at just an isolated medial collateral ligament sprain, which is what he may have, you're looking at an average return for about 16 to 23 days. Majority of players, 3 to 6 weeks, they're back to playing. So it depends also on the type of ligament. He could return wearing a brace a little sooner because you could protect certain ligaments with a brace, especially the ones on the outside. The internal ligaments also harder to protect with bracing. So if it's an isolated external ligament like an MCL or LCL injury, he could come back with a brace. It's about 2 weeks, so it may be a little too early, especially for a quarterback that likes to move, likes to run, and could potentially get hit. But you could potentially brace it up and have him do practices, do a workout on pre-game, see how it goes. And then if he feels well, you can let him go.
One thing that we've seen a lot here in the last couple of years, and I just don't remember seeing it as much, in the previous, 5, 10, 15 years, is you're seeing a lot more Achilles injuries now. And, we saw it with Aaron Rodgers. We saw it with Najee Harris from the Chargers. I saw a baseball pitcher in Seattle a couple of months ago, and you know what happens, right? Like it automatically, you see the guy turn around. It feels like somebody shot him in the heel. He grabs at his ankle region, and then the guy's done. Is there any precursor to Achilles injuries, judging from what has happened with the calf? Because I've heard some guys that they've had calf soreness or issues with their calf, and then all of a sudden, a couple of weeks, couple of months later, boom, it affects their Achilles. Have you heard any correlation between the two?
There's some correlation. I mean, all has to do with muscle tightness, right? So if you're not doing the adequate stretching and your calves are really tight, you're going to start getting some micro tears. So you're getting a little bit of micro tears on the tendon, or you're getting some micro tears at the muscle belly. So typically, like say the tennis players, they pull at their calf, they're running, we call it tennis leg. That's a calf strain. So but that happens right at the calf tendon junction. That could be a precursor of a bigger injury coming up, because now you already know, hey, things are tight back there. We need to work on loosening things up. You come back a little too soon. Now that can get a little more complicated, and you can end up with Achilles tear.
Great stuff from our guy, David Terry here. This is epic content. Outstanding idea to have Dr. Rodriguez every Thursday. Our guy, Chan, this convo is fascinating. Some good return. We love it, man. We love it. Dr. Rodriguez is the man. And listen, we're not the only team here, the Buccaneers, dealing with injuries in the NFC South. A.J. Terrell, the Atlanta Falcons quarterback, dealing with the hamstring injury since week 2 against the Vikings. And I think of hamstring injuries as well, Doc, where you just don't know sometimes, right? I mean, obviously we're seeing the same thing with Mike Evans and his hamstring injury. How do you kind of test that out, right? Mike Evans, we're hearing that it's not as severe as it once was because he's had hamstring injuries. Let me start there. Let me start there with the Mike Evans thing. 7 years in a row, he's had hamstring problems. Is that just something that's specific to one person, to one player? Is that have to do something with maybe the heat down here? Because a lot of people are wondering, do they not hydrate enough? And it's hard to think that an NFL team doesn't go above and beyond when it comes to hydration. What do you have to say about the frequency of the hamstring injuries to one player?
Just like you're seeing the issues with the calf and the Achilles, it's kind of all connected. Your posterior leg, your hamstring, your calves, it's all about, it has to be loose. It cannot be tight. And we're talking about guys that are very muscular, right? Very athletic, very muscular. And they have to take the time to do adequate stretching to make sure that those muscles are not just strong, but they're kind of flexible and loose. And unfortunately, once you start having hamstring issues, it's not uncommon that you're going to continue to have issues and recurring problems unless you really take care of the stretching exercises and making sure you're loose. Even Tiger Woods had a lot of issues with his hamstrings at some point in his career. So it's one of those unfortunate things that once you start having issues, you really got to focus and concentrate on taking care of it. Recovering is really important. So give it the adequate amount of time to recover. Otherwise, if you come back too early, it's very common that these guys will re-injure their hamstrings and get hurt again.
Is that kind of these guys that look like they're chiseled out of granite, right? They look unbelievable, but their muscles are very, very tight. So they're more susceptible to that. A guy once told me, as a baseball player, he goes, I like having a little bit of meat on my bones because I don't tear injuries. They're a little bit more flexible. And, I started hearing that about a decade ago, where more athletes growing up were focused less on maybe some of the big muscle weights and they were more of plyometrics and doing yoga and Pilates and stuff. Have you seen that kind of adjustment over the last decade or two, or where people were focused maybe a little bit less on the weightlifting and more on the flexibility aspect?
Yeah, I mean, and I tell you, I think one sport that has done a great job doing that has been soccer. If you look at soccer players, they're a little looser, even though we're actually seeing a string of ACLs and hamstring injuries in soccer also over the last couple of years. But I think you have to take the time to do some sort of stretching, even balancing like Pilates or yoga. There has to be a balance. It cannot be all about muscle strength and bodybuilding and having big, strong muscles, because eventually those muscles get too tight and they're going to tear. And that's basically what a hamstring injury is. It's basically the muscle, some of the fibers of the muscle just tear up. Tonight,
big Thursday night matchup between Arizona and Seattle. They have a couple of corners that could be without Will Johnson with the groin injury. Devin Weatherspoon with the MCL bruise or contusion. Just looking at just the kind of the surface of those injuries, is Witherspoon have a better chance of playing just because is the bruise more of a pain tolerance kind of thing, where the Johnson groin injury is kind of like what you've been saying, you gotta you don't know until you test it kind of thing.
So with Witherspoon, what they said was an MCL contusion or bruise. Well, it's hard to bruise a ligament, so usually what you're looking at is bruising the bone where the ligament attaches. So I'm pretty sure he had an MRI. The MRI makes sure that there's no microfractures, there's no breaks around the area of the contusion. And if that is okay, usually recovery is about 2 to 3 weeks. So he injured this, as you said, in the season opener on 9/7. So he's about 3 weeks out. So I would expect him to be doing well. So as long as he's not having any pain or having any issues with it, and he's been practicing this week, he should be able to play tonight.
And then the groin injury with the kid from Michigan there, the Arizona standout Will Johnson.
Yeah, so groins are a little more difficult. So groin injuries take a little longer to recover. It's just like the hamstrings. You want to take the time. You want to make sure they do well. You want to make sure you know exactly what type of injury it is, because it could be as simple as playing at what we call an adductor, strictly muscle strain, to what we may call a sports hernia, which is not really a hernia, but an abdominal muscle strain. And those can take longer to recover. So if it's a straight up adductor strain, groin injury, mild, we look at 2 to 4 weeks to return to play. Moderate injuries, you're looking at about 8 to 12 weeks. It's about 2 weeks out, maybe a little too early to come in. I'm looking more at the 3 to 4 week mark for recovery on a mild injury. So I don't know that he's going to be available this week, but maybe by week 4, 5 or 6, he may be a little better to go at it.
One of the things we're going to do with Dr. Rodriguez when he joins us every Thursday, we're going to talk about a lot of different things and not just the NFL injuries. And I wanted to talk to Dr. Rodriguez as well about some of the injuries that we're dealing with our youth athletes here in the Tampa Bay area, because it's something that's so prevalent. It's mind blowing how some of these young athletes, especially baseball players, they're sustaining these terrible injuries, and they're not even 13, 14 years old. I just wanted to ask you, I got one of my 13-year-old kids that was out for 7 or 8 months with some growth plate issues. And now he came back and he played for a couple of weeks, and now he's having issues with the growth plate again. What have you seen? What have you heard about kind of growth plate injuries when it comes to youth athletes here in the Tampa Bay area and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, I think unfortunately what's happening is kids are getting specialized into a sport too early in their lives.
What's the downside? What's the down? I mean, I understand like the aspect of, playing different and learning different rules, but as far as for your body, why is that such a bad thing, Doc?
Basically, because whenever you're using the same muscles, the same joints, the same ligaments over and over again, every time you play, little micro injuries happen to your body. Mm-hmm. Your body needs time to heal. If you're subjecting the body to the same chronic micro injuries over time without a rest or without using some other muscles to help in the recovery, eventually it's going to break down. So like you said, in that player, probably a pitcher, doing a lot of throwing. I don't know if pitch counts were being monitored. I don't know if they're playing in 2 to 3 different teams, which is not uncommon these days. Eventually that's going to accumulate. And as you have the accumulation of injuries and the micro injury, eventually it becomes a macro injury. And now you got the growth plate is the weakest link when it comes to a youth athlete. In an adult, you have the tendons, the muscles are a lot stronger. The bone is super strong. But in a kid, the bone is the weakest part, especially the growth plate. The muscle and the tendon are too strong, and they'll start pulling the growth plate and separating it. And that's when you're looking at 4, 5, 6 months of recovery, because we're really dealing with a fracture at that point.
Wow. Is baseball the number one sport that we see the injuries the most for youth athletes?
I when it comes to upper extremity injuries, elbows and shoulders, I would say that baseball is number one, especially when it comes to pitchers, catchers, and then usually the shortstops, which are the ones that are usually doing the most throwing. And it's funny because usually one of your best players is usually the pitcher, so he's also always the catcher. And then when he's not doing that, he's playing shortstop.
Has that changed, Doc? Like, what was there a point where you for as long as you've been doing this, was there a point where this changed? Because I feel like as a kid growing, and again, I grew up in New York, so it was a little different. But I think I told you this last week or a couple days ago. When I went up to New York to coach in 2012, I said, "Anybody got arm injuries?" And they were like, "No." And I just came from New York, where I had a bunch of 12 and 13-year-olds where their arm was all jacked up. Has it changed in the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years?
Well, I mean, the things that have changed up north, as you mentioned, you didn't used to see this because in the winter you couldn't play baseball.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
play something else.
Mhm.
Now they built all these indoor facilities
Right.
where now these kids up north are playing baseball also all year long. So now you're seeing them having the same injuries that kids down in the south have that are playing the sport all year round. So you kids do need a break. They do need to play other sports, learn other skills. It's actually been shown that athletes that play multiple sports are better at their main sport because they transfer skills from those other sports into their sport,
Mhm.
and also there's less burnout and less injuries because of it.
That's a great point. I mean, I myself, I played baseball since I was, knee high to a grasshopper, 4 years old. When I was 9, I started playing hockey. And playing hockey, I was already a pretty good baseball player. But when I started playing hockey, I went like this in baseball. It was just tougher. I felt like I was more agile. I developed different muscle groups, as you alluded to, Doc. And I think that's so freaking important when it comes to our youth athletes. Doc, I don't think this could have gone any better, brother. This has been a fantastic
It's
chat.
been a pleasure.
I hope you had a good time, man. This is really cool.
Absolutely.
We're going to do this every Thursday at 12:30 with our guy, Dr. Rodriguez, the Evara Health Injury Report. Go to everahealth.org and look at everything that they've got going on, all your healthcare needs. We're going to show everybody the website here in a bit. But yeah, and then next week, we'll talk some more of the hockey injuries. Andrei Vasilevskiy mispracticed again today. We'll get an idea of what his injury is, and hopefully no more injury for the Buccaneers, and maybe we'll getting closer for some recuperation for our guys. But Dr. Rodriguez, this has been a blast, man. Can't wait to do it again next Thursday. Thank you so much for your time.
It's a pleasure.
Have a great weekend, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Great stuff, man. Holy smokes. I mean, when you bring in new stuff to the show, when you bring in new segments, you hope it turns out well. You guys know me. I'm a very optimistic guy. I don't think that could have gone any better. That was amazing. Dr. Rodriguez, a character, an unbelievable person, but what a smart and knowledgeable man. It just making our show better. And look at all of the great feedback already. Lady Evil, great content. Chan says, he was dope. David Terry, more Doc for sure. Later, Skater, our guy Chan, I need the doctor to go in deep on Vazzy and his injury history next week. I mean, you want to talk about a great relationship, a start of a fantastic relationship. It's Dr. Rodriguez and our friends over at Evara Health. Unbelievable. Look at Rob G. Fantastic info from the doctor, 100% accuracy. This is just going to get better and better and better every week. So now we know it's about appointment listening, appointment viewing every Thursday at 12:30. Dr. Rodriguez is going to join us on the program, and we're going to break it all down. Yeah, we'll talk about some of the big news and big injuries in the NFL, but all kinds of injuries across sports. So if you guys have any injuries throughout the week, send them over, man. We'll ask Dr. Rodriguez every Thursday at 12:30. Lady Evil with the $5 super chat. That was awesome. David Velasquez agrees as well. So our partners at Evara Health are going to be happy, and Dr. Rodriguez too. So really, really good stuff. Let's show you guys real quick. If you haven't seen the website, I'm going to pull it up for you guys. I was just showing somebody again yesterday. everahealth.org. I'm going to put it up on the screen so you guys can get with us here. Check this out. And I know this is a big thing nowadays, man. You're worried about healthcare. You're worried about where you can go. everahealth.org. Check this out. Is it up? Yeah, there it is. Look. Hold on. Make sure it's good background so you guys can see. There we go. Centralized on that. Services. Look at all the things they do. Family medicine, pediatrics, dental, women's and behavioral health, chiropractic, community. Look at all this stuff. Podiatry, sports medicine, like we were just chatting with Dr. Rodriguez there, news and events. You want to just do some research on them. everahealth.org. Schedule an appointment. You can find a location. And this means a lot to me. The different languages that their website is in. Because if you just don't know, man, if you're looking at, and sometimes you just don't have the right healthcare service and you just don't know where to turn. Maybe it's not for you guys. I say this about our other partner as well with Honest Hammer. Maybe it's not something that can benefit you, but it can benefit a loved one or a coworker. This is fan-freaking-tastic. Right here, 727-824-8181. Schedule an appointment. Tell them that you heard it right here on the WR Recher podcast. There's just look at Clearwater, Look at all these beautiful smiles, helping out your family. Again, 727-824-8181. Enter your email address. You can join in on the newsletter, everahealth.org, our new partner here on the Recher podcast. I could not be happier with the early returns on them or with them. They're partners. It's really, really cool. I'm actually heading over there next Tuesday. So I'm going to take a bunch of pictures and then it'll be up on my social media platform. So you guys can check out, again, what Evara Health is all about. And we cannot forget, of course, our good friends at Honest Hammer. Somebody was just asking me about Russ the other day and going over to the job site and Russ hooking me up with the hard hat here. These are the kind of guys, like it makes you smile when you work with people like Evara Health and when you work with people like Honest Hammer, because you know they're helping out people in our area. Honest Hammer, thehonesthhammer.com, 813-244-0956. Their website, clean as a whistle as well. Look, services, their portfolio, about us. They're a licensed and insured Florida general contractor, CGC 153-1166. No project too big. No project too small. Hit them up. Tell them that you heard it right here on the Recher podcast. Get you a discount. Bathroom remodels, kitchen remodels. They've got you covered. New and commercial constructions. New custom homes. You guys remember I was there last Thursday or 2 Thursdays ago. You got a plot of land. You're looking for a new custom home. Russ is going to be able to sit down with you. He was showing me all the plans, the blueprints. I didn't know what the hell I was looking at, but you could just tell there's an attention to detail. You can tell, and I know you guys are like this through any aspect of life. When you're dealing with somebody that you know doesn't leave any stone unturned, you know somebody that's going to go the extra mile. You feel that. You can't fake that kind of stuff. You can see a disingenuous person from a mile away. And that's one of the best things that I love about Russ and the family over at Honest Hammer. They're like you. These are the kind of people that you want to support here in the Tampa Bay area. And you can see right there that new custom home. I just retweeted something or reposted something on my Instagram today, some of the updates and where they're at in the progression. 813-244-0956. TheHonestHammer@gmail.com, TheHonestHammer.com. My guy, you know, I think the world of them. And if you need anything or you have any questions, give them a shout. Again, 813-244-0956. Tell them that you heard it right here on the Recher podcast. Man, that was so much fun, wasn't it? Really, really good stuff. I wanted to answer this question. Somebody had a fantasy football question in there. Anybody? Oh, Dave Velasquez. Start sit Harrison Jr., Chase, Samuel, and Buka. How many? Because I'm going to go in this order. Debo, Chase, Ibuka, and Harrison Jr. And I'm going to tell you why. You have to figure if Marcus Mariota is going to play or even if Jaden Daniels plays, they're just like going to play that Tampa Bay Buccaneers mentality of get the ball out of the hands quick, right? Spread the football around. And when you have a guy like Debo Samuel, you can get him the ball in so many different ways. You can hand it off to him. You can throw the ball down the field, but you can use the short and the intermediate routes. He can do everything for your team. And I was wondering if Debo Samuel was going to be able to have his strengths accentuated on this team like he did in San Francisco. Early returns say yes. He's been killing it for my fantasy team early on. So that's the guy I would lead with. Jamar, I mean, Cincinnati would think would bounce back after that putrid performance against Minnesota. And again, you're going to go to your best players. And if Browning's going to be able to fill in for Joe Burrow and hold down the fort, he's going to have to use the big talent that he has. So if I'm him, I'm going to Jamar Chase early and often. Don't be surprised if you see over 8 targets for Jamar this weekend. Emeka, yeah, I mean, it's good. The reason why I have him third is because you just don't know what this weekend's going to be like. I have a feeling it's going to be a low-scoring game. Could be ugly. Emeka could be a touchdown, right? We're looking at probably a feast or famine, maybe not as many targets, but a guy that's always going to be able to get you a touchdown. Marvin Harrison Jr., if you have him on your team, you just can't play him right now. You just can't play him. And of course, if I say that and he has a great week, then you have to play him. But as far as what we've seen the last couple of years, the only way you play Marvin Harrison Jr. this week is if you feel like he's going to progress to the norm and it's going to be different. So, sorry, man, that's really all I got as far as Harrison Jr. I wish he was better for you, but as of right now, a lot of people are not too thrilled with what they've seen. Yep, that was awesome. You got that right, Dave. Oh, so you got 3 of them, Dave? Yeah, I'd use all 3 except Marvin Harrison. I could draw and read blueprints. Christopher Cole, man, you got some skills. I knew it. Not surprised. Carlos, start or sit DK Metcalf or Jalen Waddle. I always go, and I know when it comes to matchups, you look at who they're facing, and I'll look at that out of respect for you, my friends. Pittsburgh's playing Minnesota at home, right? Miami's playing the Jets, right? My concern when I compare wide receivers, probably the first thing that I always use is target share, right? It's a target share. I always go with a wide receiver 1 over a wide receiver 2, regardless of the team, regardless of just because you know that there's more of a chance to be able to get him the football. I like target share over opponent. And I know there's other people out there that may think, well, if you're playing a crappy team and you're playing a good team, yeah, I get that. But if you have 6 targets against the Jets, and Tyreek has 8, right? DK Metcalf, you would think, would probably get 7 or 8 against Minnesota. He's their number 1 guy. So, yeah, the competition may be worse. The Jets are definitely going to be worse than Minnesota. But I feel like there's more of an ability to go get DK Metcalf the ball. I know that's weird, and I know that's kind of because you're looking at a Brian Flores offense versus a Steve Wilkes offense. So that's kind of the issue there. You could think that 2 wide receivers are going to do better than 1 when it comes to DK Metcalf. But I would probably go with DK. But if you go with Jalen Waddle, I would totally understand. So sorry, I know that's kind of a long-winded answer. That I just wanted to give you both sides of it, right? Where Jalen Waddle is Jalen Waddle going to get more targets than Tyreek Hill? I don't think so, even against a bad team. And again, with that being said, it's not just about think about it, in the beginning of the game, it's like, all right, you're going against a worse team. But if the Dolphins get ahead, are they going to be throwing the football or running the football? If the Steelers are behind, they're not running. They're just going to keep throwing. And if that's the case, I think they'll force feed a guy like DK Metcalf. Dave Velasquez, thanks, Jay. I appreciate you. It's a conundrum. I'm with you, buddy. But, yeah, I would probably keep Marvin on the outside. Sorry, Marvin. So really, really good stuff right there. All right. Follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. You know me, I'm a little bit of everywhere. Let me just double check something real quick. Come on. All right, 1:15. Our guy Tom Jones is going to join us on the program. All right, an update. Oh, actually, let me give you some of the stuff right here from Josh Grizzard, who just spoke over at real quick on Vasilevskiy, okay? No Vasilevskiy at practice today. 5th straight practice, him not being in there. They had a day off yesterday. Am I concerned? John Cooper says not to be concerned. He's going to be out for a little while. I'm concerned. I'm concerned because it's been, 6 straight days that he hasn't done anything. So in order for the Tampa Bay Lightning to really win the division, they have to start fast. They got to take advantage of Toronto figuring things out with the Mitch Marner and Matthew Tkachuk being on the shelf. And it's going to be awfully tough to be able to do that if you don't have Andrei Vasilevskiy on the ice. This weekend really is the telltale sign for me. Do we see him before the end of the weekend? And I'm not even talking about in games. I'm talking about practice. If we get to Monday and there's still no Andrei Vasilevskiy on the ice, I would venture to say that he won't be ready for opening night. And that's not good. We need to know that Vasi is going to be 100% because, listen, the start of the Lightning season will be here before you know it. You guys know what today's date is? Today is September 25th. Do you know when the first regular season game is? Does anybody know? Anybody? October 9th. October 9th against the Ottawa Senators. Our Tampa Bay Lightning take the ice Thursday, 7 p.m. Ready to roll. Our Tampa Bay Lightning. Excited to see what they're going to be able to bring to the table this year. They're 2-0 in the preseason, but we know it really starts Thursday, October 9th at home against Ottawa, then Saturday night against the New Jersey Devils. So a couple of games at home before they have a 4-game road trip: Boston, Washington, Detroit, and Columbus. You want to start out the season well, and the way that you do that is having your goaltender back and, being ready to roll. Rob G, Aaron Rodgers and Metcalf has that connection like Rodgers had in Green Bay with Adams. Literally, Rodgers says F it, Metcalf down there somewhere. Yep. Chan's a little more than concerned. Okay. Yeah, I can't hate on you, buddy. Thoughts on the ESPN PLE last weekend? I thought it was severely underwhelming, Christopher. Severely underwhelming. If you are going to act like this, WrestlePalooza, it's a big name. Big name. And that was what you did? Cena getting squashed. Some of the matches were okay. Cody Rhodes looked jacked up. Jey Uso got jacked up. No huge big surprises other than Paul Heyman introducing Brock Lesnar and Stephanie McMahon getting inducted into the 2026 Hall of Fame, which isn't for like another 6 months. It's just, I don't know, man. I think there's a little bit of a lull. I think they've got hamstrung with the idea of the whole John Cena thing. I love the fact that they've listened to the fans, and it looks like he's going to wrestle AJ Styles at Crown Jewel. We only have a couple more dates left, but there's some good things when it comes to wrestling. But, what's up with Solo Sikoa and those guys? I feel like they've dropped the ball with the Wyatt Six. I don't know, man. WWE is kind of in a funky spot right now. Not just having Vazzy on the ice, you need elite level Vazzy to have a chance. We haven't seen that in 3 years. Now, the Lightning and the Buccaneers, no, they don't. Yes, JoJo is going to have to step up. You got that right. Hearing rumors Edge is coming back, maybe last match versus Cena. Yes, I'm seeing that too on social media, with Edge telling Christian during Dynamite last night, I got to go away for a while. I got to get out of here. Now, you're not going to see a trade like we did years ago with WWE and TNA when they wanted Ric Flair for the Hall of Fame induction. So does Edge, is he had a break in a contract? Does he come back for one night only and wrestle John Cena? I hope so. I mean, you don't have to necessarily acknowledge the other company, but just let it happen. There's certain things in sports and sports entertainment, you just let it happen. When the All-Star games come about and you have a special exemption for a guy that that's retiring at the end of the year, I love that kind of stuff. Sports is supposed to be fun. It's entertainment. It's an escape from reality. If you think and if it expires next month, then good. Let it expire. Get him in there. Wrestle John Cena. Go back to AEW. Go with Christian. Do your thing. Win the tag team titles and ride off into the sunset. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. Let's talk a little bit about what we heard from Josh Grizzard, the Buccaneers OC. Said that Baker was limited today, but does such a great job preparing for the next game. It's all about mental reps. He's in a good spot, tough as they come. Baker and Sterling Shepard showing some love there. Also says the tight ends are very selfless and what they've needed. The time will come for Cade Otton. He's not complaining about the lack of targets. No, he's not. And you shouldn't either. For fans that were worried about Cade Otton and, oh, man, he's not catching the ball as much. Listen, he's in there, dude. He's in there blocking. He's putting his body on the line. Grizzard says of Chris Godwin, it was fantastic seeing him out there as a full participant yesterday on the field. It goes without saying how much he brings to the offense. Here is some news in the hockey world that you don't want to see. Here we go. Wow. Florida Panthers captain Alexander Barkov injured during training camp. He was down. He was laying on the ice. An apparent right leg injury. He was helped to the dressing room by 2 staff members. He put very little weight on his right leg before leaving the ice. Head coach Paul Maurice says it's beyond our control. We have to learn to win hockey games without good players. If that's the adversity or the test that we face this year, then that's what we're going to do. I'm not a doctor. So whatever the report is won't affect how we handle the next couple of days. If he's not in the lineup on opening night, or if he misses an exhibition game, or if he's out long-term, it's just not going to affect that day. We've got to win hockey games. We've got to prep for it. That's all. Panthers already without 2 key forwards. Matthew Tkachuk out until at least December while recovering from offseason surgery to repair a torn abductor muscle and sports hernia. And then 4th line center Tomas Nosek expected to be out multiple months after having surgery for a lower body injury. So, for as much as we've been talking about Andrei Vasilevskiy, Anthony, you just missed it, man. You're $1 late. $1 late. Or a minute late and $1 short, buddy. But wow. And when you think about that whole thing, you don't want to wish injuries on anybody. And especially for many years, I've been saying, people have asked me who my favorite players are. And I love two-way centers. I really do. And Patrice Bergeron was my guy. And I've been touting the exploits of a guy like Alexander Sasha Barkov for a very long time. One of the best players in the entire game. And he just does it all. And he's gotten better and better and better. He wins draws offensively, defensively, scores big goals, sets people up on the power play. He learned under the tutelage of a guy like Jaromir Jagr when he was there in South Florida. And man, if they don't have Sasha Barkov, that is a huge loss for the Florida Panthers. I mean, to go a good chunk of the season without Matthew Tkachuk and now Sasha Barkov, wow. We'll keep you abreast of that situation. I'm sure we'll hear more, but there's another injury that we can talk to Dr. Rodriguez about next week. The injuries, they're flying at you in all of these sports. Did you guys see that Jose Siri was DFA'd by the Mets? That's pretty funny. Before their playoff run. It's weird to DFA a guy like that who at times prides himself to be like a great teammate. And it's weird. You go to battle with these guys all year long. You play, 157, 158 games, and then you DFA the guy in the last week of the season, right in the middle of a playoff race. I find that fascinating sometimes. And we'll see. I mean, the Rays, obviously Pete Fairbanks helping them do what they got to do. I mean, what's going to happen in the American League when the Detroit Tigers is just absolutely crumbling? It's wild to watch how bad that they've played. And they're just grasping at straws. And the Rays in action right now, 0-0 in the top of the first inning. But man, Detroit, what the hell has happened to those guys? They look like one of the teams to beat. They lose again last night, 5-1 to the Guardians. And you look at what Cleveland's been able to do, going on an absolute tear. They've got a 1-game lead in the American League Central. If they were tied, Cleveland held the tiebreaker. At one time, the Cleveland Guardians were 15.5 games back. 15.5. And I saw something, I don't know if it was Fangraphs or one of those other sites, where at one point, the Detroit Tigers were a 99.9% chance of making the playoffs. And now they don't know which way is up. They're 1-9 in their last 10. They've lost 8 in a row. And now their chances of making the playoffs is down to 80%. Now, they'll probably still make a wild card. But if you're a Detroit fan, you cannot feel very comfortable about what's going on. The only team that's going to be able to catch them is the Houston Astros. They're a game behind them. But luckily for the Tigers, the Astros have lost 5 in a row. So while the Mets lose and they're kind of staving off the Cincinnati Reds in the National League, the Diamondbacks are only a game behind as well. And Cincinnati's got the tiebreaker there. In the American League, it really is a four-horse race for those 3 spots. Yankees got it locked up. They're trying to see if they can win the division and catch the Toronto Blue Jays. The Red Sox are going to be a wild card team. And then Detroit and Houston. Obviously, there are some links there with the Detroit manager being the former World Series manager of the Houston Astros, A.J. Hinch. The baseball playoffs this year is going to be kind of wonky. We just don't know what's going to happen. There's no great team. There's no team you look at and go, wow, it's them or the field. And you could say that about the Dodgers too. When you look at what they've done this year, and they haven't been their dominant selves. I still think it's theirs to lose when you look at it. As we speak, they're 2.5 games ahead of the Padres. But when you can roll out a lineup like they can roll out with Betts and Ohtani and Freeman, I mean, you got 3 guys that can all, they're 5-tool guys, right? They can all run, they can all throw, they can hit for average, they can hit for power, and just Ohtani is the ultimate wild card with everything. And don't forget, man, they've got other contributors that really do big things for them. when you look at what Teoscar Hernandez does. One of my favorite swings in all of baseball, probably one of the prettiest right-handed swings in baseball. And he was smart. He gave up money elsewhere to play with the Dodgers. He knows exactly what he's got to do. Not a lot of pressure on that guy. Just go out there and play the game. He's never going to get the spotlight because of all the guys on his team. But I really like Teoscar Hernandez. I'm a big fan of his. But you have the Max Muncies of the world and all these different players. Tommy Edman, who was the NLCS MVP last year. It's always the others that have to step up. Because when you get to a certain point, the top-tier guys, the all-stars, the superstars, they cancel themselves out. And then it's who else is going to be able to step up? Who's going to be able to contribute? That's why it was Bucky Dent hitting the home run, right? Guys like that. All right, let's bring him in. One of the guys that I just love talking to when it comes to sports. It's our good pal, Tom Jones from the Poynter Institute. You remember him for many years writing about our Tampa Bay teams and my favorite show of all time on WDAE, the sports page with Rick Stroud. And I'm not just saying that because you're here. Ron and Ian got pissed off when I'd say it. I said, too bad, man. I don't learn anything from you guys. I laugh, but I learn from Rick and Tom. How are you, partner? Oh, you're muted. Can't hear you. Uh-oh. Out. Nope, you're muted again. Nope. I think you got the headphones. You got to change the input on your headphones, maybe. Tom, we'll see what his computer prowess is. You could just take the headphones off. Maybe that's probably the best thing. And just unplug them. No audio. Dang. All right, let's see if I can. We got you.
Wes, I'm sorry. I'm an old guy. I'm a boomer, man.
How are you, buddy? It's good to talk to you.
You know, I was talking to Stroud yesterday. We just figured out, Steve Versnick and I talking to Stroud, and it was 9 years ago, like in next week or the next 2 weeks, that we get called into the office. We thought we were getting made. We thought we were Tommy in Goodfellas, and we walked in, and boom. Back of the head. Oh, no. And we went down. Yeah. Johnny Fever. We called him Johnny Fever. Travis, was that his name? His guy's name was Travis. Yeah. So he gave us the bad news. And yeah, that was 9 years. Hard to believe it was 9 years ago, man. So
I know, man. It's been coming close to a year for me not being at DAE any longer. But hey, man, they say you've never really been in the radio industry until you get let go at least once. So
that's the way I look at it. You're doing great now, though, man. The podcast is great. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. So
thanks, man. And I was talking about you the other day on the show about, one of the conversations we had a couple of years ago, and you really enforced into me of like, your opinion counts, your opinion matters. And, I gave everybody the context of the whole Deshaun Watson thing, and you telling me like, you're one of the opinions that matter in this town. And I tell you, like, I've taken that to heart so much the last couple of years of really being not opinionated in a way where there's a negative connotation associated with it, but just understanding the platform that I have and not just speaking out of my ass and just being researched and like making sure that I do my homework. So thank you for that.
No, I didn't. Yeah, when that happened, I hope I didn't come off as like,
no, not at all,
Mr. Know-it-all, because I hear stuff on local radio now that I really disagree with or I don't like, but I don't say anything. But with you, I really think that you have a pretty powerful platform and people really respect you as they should. And so it was important for me to have that conversation with you because I knew you would take it well. And like I said, I don't ever want to come off as a know-it-all because
no, not at all.
There's enough people at times like, shut up, Jones.
No, not at all. And I think it's important. And I wanted to get your opinion. I know was going to think about this, but the whole AP voter thing from a couple of weeks ago where the young lady, she goes on and she goes, well, yeah, it'll kind of figure itself out anyway. And I immediately think about, the conversation you and I had, and it's like, I've talked to Topkin, I've talked to you, I've talked to all these different guys and how important it, our good buddy, Eric Aronson, is like, these guys and gals across the country that have these votes, whether it's AP or whether that's the end of the season awards, they stress over it. And they're like, we want to get this right. We want to make sure that we research and know that we're putting the right 4, 5, 6, whatever guys on the ballot. And then when somebody's just so flippant about it, it's like,
I had a really strong opinion. I heard what you said about that. I had a really strong opinion about that. I think first off, I think she clearly mistook who won that game. She clearly got lost in either her research, and I can understand it because she was covering a game that day When I used to cover games, you cover Bucs games, Jay, you go to games, like you lose track of the rest of the country. So she may not have seen who won the floor, or when she wrote it down, she just misinterpreted. I think her answer was one of, she didn't want to admit, again, this is total conjecture on my part. She did not want to admit that she got the game wrong. And so she said, hey, it works itself out. I actually was kind of sympathetic to her, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't know her. I never met her. And I kind of felt like this idea of like, take her vote away. Not that you said that. Other people like, yeah, take her vote away. I thought that was over the top. Like, I just thought that she screwed it up. She didn't want to admit she screwed up. She probably should have, if that's what happened. But at the end of the day, I just felt like she probably felt like, boy, if I admit that, I'm going to get killed. I think there was some sexism involved. Not from you.
No,
I thought your comments were fair. But I think there are enough people out there who like don't realize what goes into this job sometimes. And I just think she was afraid, like, I don't want to admit it because people are going to jump on me. Well, how did you not know that who won that game? So
anyway. Easy for us in the Southeast to be like, how do you not know? Because all eyes were tuned in.
That was the biggest game in USF in the last 10 years or whatever.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, let's start with the Rays there. I wanted to get your opinion on Stu Sternberg, and we know that John Romanos wrote a real in-depth report on his relationship with the employees, and we know how close to him and Topkin. And you've covered the Rays for many years. You've been there, and you've been in those seats. And just for me, Tom, I look at it, and I don't think you can argue some of the successes that they've had. And from being from where you're from and from where I'm from, like I want there to be a little bit less of a, little engine that could mentality with the Rays. Like, you're going up there and you're fighting with the big boys. I know the salary cap is what it is, and you're never going to spend $200 million, but like, I don't want to feel like it's just weird for me. I want the Rays to feel like, I want people to be proud to be Rays fans, right? I don't want it to be like an excuse and everything's with the caveat. Like, there's always gotten to be an excuse why things don't get done. Like, go out there, man, just be proud. Be proud of your shortcomings, man. Who cares? You got a scar on your face like Guy Boucher. Who gives a crap, man? Go out there and model the damn thing. But now the term is over. The tenure is over from Stu Sternberg, and now we're looking forward. What do you make of his tenure with the Tampa Bay Rays, and what do you think their mindset should be going forward in 2026 and beyond?
No, you make some great points there, Jay. I'm a big Stu guy. I like Stu. I like what he's done here. And I think for those of us who've lived in this community who are old enough to remember just what an absolute dumpster fire this organization was before Stu came along. Look, all the credit in the world to Vince Namoli and that group that brought baseball here. Baseball wouldn't be here without those guys. But this train, it was a train wreck before Stu showed up. Since he's been here, you probably have the numbers. You've probably recited them before, Jay, that especially since 2008, they've had the third or fourth most victories in Major League Baseball over that time. They've made the playoffs a bunch of time. They've been in the World Series race. I get it. They haven't won a World Series, and that's a big deal. You would hope at some point you win a World Series. But I look back and this organization is in way better shape now than when Stu Sternberg bought the team, and they've been competitive. And I think that's what you want as a fan or somebody who follows this team. Give me more good nights than bad. And I think overwhelmingly that's what Stu Sternberg has done. I think they've done the right thing. They brought in Joe Madden. They've hired really smart people like Andrew Friedman and Matt Silverman and Brian Alden. Those people run the business aspect. Clearly, the one thing that hasn't been done is a stadium has not been built. Still not going to be built. I don't know when that'll get done, if ever it'll get done. You make a good point, though, Jay, and I think it's fair. I think there are times where I would like to know, okay, could you really not afford to go out and spend a little more on payroll? Are you really that strapped? Or are you making a lot of money and you just didn't use it that way? I have no problem with owners making money. Everybody's in business to make money. But that you're right. It was a caveat sometimes. It's like, hey, we're doing the best we can with what we got. And it's pretty good. It was pretty good. But I saw the Evan Longoria comments in Mark Topkin's story the other day. Like, yeah, there were times like, can we get one more bat? Can we get one more arm? It would have been nice to help us. But I'm a big Stu guy. I really think he's been great. New ownership. Let's wait and see. Jay, they all say the right things when they get
in the beginning,
right? No, we're committed to this area, and I'm sure any team that's ever moved, the owner when he came in said we're committed to this area. Now I'm not suggesting they're going to be on their way out of here, but I don't know. Until I see shovels in the ground, Jay, I'm not convinced they're staying here. I don't know where that shovel will be. Likely Hillsborough, which is fine. But I tell you another thing, Jay, and I don't know how you feel about it. I noticed it this summer. I went to a handful of games. The people did a great job getting that stadium as major league ready as you can. There's no way you can play outdoor baseball in Tampa Bay.
No chance.
You can't do it.
It's brutal.
No, it's brutal. Like those games were miserable, some of them, to sit through. I went to the Evan Longoria retirement game. I had really good seats. I had access to that club that underneath, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally was like watching inning here, watching inning at the club, watching inning on the field, watching it. And that's the only way I got through that day because it was so hot. There's just no way that we can. I just don't think we can do it without an indoor stadium, don't you think?
No, I'm 100% in agreement with you. And one thing I love talking about you, Tom, is being a columnist. Like you look at, you know, a lot of people are here. You're here coming at it from a different thing. Me being a baseball coach in the Tampa Bay area for 8 or 10 years before I even got into the media world, right? And now being back on the field for the last 4 or 5 months again and getting out there, I see things from all the different perspectives. And when people talk about attendance and all these different things, like I've met when Orestes Estrada comes up to me and calls me Coach J when I'm just an intern at WDAE, and Mamola goes, how the hell does that happen? How the hell do you know? And it's just like, I've known this guy for 10 years, right? Like, so I don't like when people say baseball can't work here. I've seen thousands of kids here. I know former professional athletes that are here. Where was the disconnect with the team? And I feel like when we come to the whole Stu argument, I feel like there's one part of it when it comes to just the comparative side. Well, you compare it to the last one. We live in a comparative society. You compare your first this relationship with your last one, this house to your last one, this car to your next car. Like that's just human nature, right? That's what we do. We like to compare and contrast. But if we take that aspect out of it, how come there was such a big disconnect between Stu Sternberg and the community? Because I don't think it was just the stadium. You know, when you go on with me and Zach on FanFest and you're complaining about your P&L statement, that you're taking losses on your P&L and you're not spending over $100 million on your payroll, knowing damn well we know what your TV numbers are and we know what your revenue sharing numbers. We have a ballpark of what it is. Like people don't want to hear that when they're having trouble keeping a roof over their heads and also putting food on their table, right? Also, with the comparative society thing, you're always going to compare, and I think this is always unfair, to Jeff Finnick and the Glazers and doing what they do. I don't ever put that in there. But there's just something about Stu where it was always off to me. And why fans aren't in the Tampa Bay area? Like, why aren't baseball people Rays fans? Like, I hang out with baseball people every day, and there is such a small number of those people, Jonesy, that have to watch the Rays game. You know as well as I do, right? If we're in a big city and there's things like, if I'm in New York and it's 7:00 and you're somewhat of a baseball fan, and I know it's different, but like baseball people are watching the Yankees or the Mets. I've been to other parts of the country where like baseball people in Pittsburgh, if you're a baseball guy in Pittsburgh, even though they stink, you're watching Skeens pitch no matter what happens. Right. And I feel like where do you think that disconnect comes from? Where is it just because there's a lot of things to do? But I feel like it's a very weird thing that diehard baseball people that have that coursing through their veins, there's still a disconnect between them and the local team. I asked 2 or 3 guys that played pro ball. I said, you grew up in this area. If I would have asked you in 1991 that there was a professional sports baseball team here and you wouldn't have season tickets, what would you say? They said, I would say you're crazy. I'd be there every game. I said, how many Rays games you go to in the last 5 years? They go, less than 5.
Right.
I think that's ultimately a problem too, Tom, don't you?
Absolutely. I think there's a couple of things that factor. It's something that Tampa Bay is always going to have to deal with, is that nobody's from here. So my kids were born and raised here. They're huge Rays fans. Even my son, who's since moved away, he's grown. Mm-hmm. He's an adult. He's a man. He's 32 years old. He lives in New York. He goes to Rays games at Yankee Stadium and roots for the Rays. So people who grow up here, but like Jay, you're from New York. I'm from Pittsburgh. I think people who are from Philly, Chicago, whatever, they still follow Detroit. You see it at the games. Half the crowd's is for the other team. As far as the disconnect too, I think there was a disconnect with Stu. I never understood this, but it's how people feel. Like they didn't. Oh, I don't like that he doesn't live here year round. Like he's not one of us. Like what do you care? Like the Glazers.
Nobody asks what the Glazers are. Nobody asks if Vinnick's in the building. Nobody asks.
And like the first guy that owned the team that won a Stanley Cup with the Lightning was Bill Davidson, who never. I saw him. I covered the team all that time I was the beat writer, and I met him 2 or 3 times. Was never around. The big thing, I think, Jay, I honestly think this would have made a difference with at least with the relationship with Stu. If they would have won 3 more games in 2008, and if they would have won 2 more games in 2020 and got that championship, I think it would have changed things.
Really? I wonder.
Yeah, I think a championship might have made it. Look, Jay, you look back at this since really the last 15 years, coming up on 20 years, most nights in the summertime, this was a good product. Now, I got to admit, this year, I checked out about a month ago because I could see where this team was headed. I barely have paid attention to them. But over the last 20 years, there were so many good nights. But as far as like why, I don't know. I mean, I hate to say it's a lazy market, but people watch it. Certainly there's interest. The TV numbers are great.
Right.
So,
but it's convenience, isn't it? Right, Tom? Like you love Pittsburgh. You love going to visit. I love going back to New York, but we live here because it's convenient. We like being able to go out for a walk in November and be like, wow, we don't have to worry about wearing a jacket. I always say that it's not about the quality of issues why people didn't fully support Stu in the race. It's about the quantity, right?
That might be it. I mean, a lot of different reasons. Jay, like, so you grew up on Long Island, right? As a kid. Yeah. You went to Yankee games, right?
Took the train, it was every way.
So how long did it take you? Like if the Yankees the first pitch was 7:05, what time were you leaving your house?
3, 4 o'clock. Yep.
Yeah.
Early, man.
To go watch. Here, I live 10 minutes from Tropicana Field. For a 7 o'clock game, I leave my house at 6:40.
Right.
Be in my seat and have so it was easy to get here. We could go through the history of like, do every sports talk show radio ever, like the bridge, the water, blah, blah, blah.
But then again, that's the quantity of issues, right? To somebody, that's one of the things. It could be Stu not living here. It could be the payroll, right? It could be they don't like the trop. Like it could be asinine. It could be like minuscule. To somebody, it may not mean. But when you could ask 9 different people that are kind of apathetic when it comes to the race, and you'll get 9 different issues. We'll talk more about the race another day. I want to get some of the other teams in here. Bucks 50 years. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Where are you at with the Buccaneers right now? I feel like I say this all the time. Remember when Dirk Cutter was not too thrilled with you walking out of the press conference. Times have changed, brother, when it comes to the Buccaneers. It just seems like the atmosphere and the camaraderie and just the way that the team is treating the players and the community is different. And I was one of the few people here that was saying, pump the brakes. Don't try to throw the baby out with the bathwater here. And, let's bring in Liam Cohen and let's get rid of Todd Bowles. I mean, he's a part of this whole leadership thing. And it just seems like the Bucs are in a good spot right now. What do you make of the football team here?
They're in a really good spot. I'm glad you brought up the Dirk Cutter, Jason Light thing. So when I covered those guys didn't like me. And I still had fans got on me. You were so negative. I'm like, they were awful. They had a horrible
so bad.
The one year they went 9-7 with Jameis, didn't make the playoffs, but 9-7, I felt like they should have a parade for that. But the things have changed. Clearly, as things have changed. Jay, you need 2 things. I don't have to tell you, you need 2 things in this league to win: a coach and a quarterback. And I think they got the coach and the quarterback. I don't know that this is maybe fair or unfair. I mean, is Todd Bowles Andy Reid? Is he, is he at that level? Is he a John Harbaugh? Like, I don't know that he's at that level, but I'm telling you what, it's a well-run organization that has no BS. There's no chaos. It's a professionally run organization. And they have the quarterback, Jay. I'm telling you, Baker Mayfield, he does 2 things that I think are key for a quarterback in this league. 2 or 3 times a game, you need your quarterback. He doesn't have to be Lamar Jackson. He doesn't have to be Josh Allen. But you need your quarterback 2 or 3 times a game to get you out of a 3rd and 7 jam by running for a first down, which he does all the time. And then the other thing is you need your quarterback to play big in the 4th quarter in games that are tight. And that guy might not be anybody better. He sometimes will be an average quarterback for 3 quarters. He'll have a couple of drives in the middle of the game where you're like, who was he throwing that ball to? But when the chips are down, like that game the other day against the Jets, Jay, the Jets had no business being in that game. And I don't know how it got away from them, but it did. And next thing you know, they blocked that the field goal, take it back for a touchdown. And we all were thinking what Todd Bowles said he said on the side. Blanking me right. And that should have been a gut punch. And under a lot of teams, that game would have been over. They would have packed it in. But I actually thought, you know what? There's still a ton of time left here. You got Baker.
Right.
You didn't know Mike Evans was going to go down, but you got Baker. Like, I think they're still going to win this game. They just need a field goal. They're going to win this game. And it's because of Baker Mayfield. Like this, I tell you, Jay, they're going to win the division unless they just get even more devastated by injuries. They're going to get a home playoff game. And then, boy, if they can win a couple more games, if they can get Green Bay to come here instead of going to Green Bay, or get Philly to come here instead of going to Philly, there's no stop. I can see this team getting to a Super Bowl. I think they're that good.
Yeah, it's funny you said that about Baker and the scrambling. I was hanging out and busting the chops of Ira Kaufman because I feel like I have to do that with everybody that's come across this path over the years. I said Baker's scrambling is efficient because he does it 3 to 5 times a game. He doesn't overdo it. He knows exactly when to do it, because then if he pump fakes, the guys aren't going to jump in the air. But just because he doesn't do it all the time, he does it at the right time. And that decision that he makes by doing that is incredible. And you're right. I think you follow your gut as a sports fan, and even just following sports, whether you're on the media side or not, like, even though they blocked that field goal, even though it was like, oh my God, it wasn't, oh my God, here we go again, this team's going to find a way to lose. It was like, there's plenty of time on the clock, they're going to win. And I don't think you can fake that. Like, when the sky is falling and your team's losing. Like, we've seen that enough with the Buccaneers. They found ways to lose for decades. But now I think we're in the time where they find ways to win. And that's kind of a weird feeling, because it's almost like instinctively, like you're just watching it and you're like, they're probably going to find a way to win this game.
And I think a lot of that has to do with coaching. That's what I'm talking about, the professionalism of this team. One of the things, like talking about another coach, Jay, like John Cooper, I think John Cooper's greatest strength is whenever they went into the playoffs, and you've been there for all of these games, that John Cooper said, look, in the course of games in the playoffs and in the course of series in the playoffs, you're going to have gut punch moments where you could pack it in. You're going to have some really low lows. You're going to have some big wins too, but you're going to have games that get away from you and that seem like just soul-crushing losses. And the key is, how do you respond to it? And good teams respond well. That's what the Bucs a year ago maybe didn't do that all the time.
Right.
Now they are at the point, though, okay, block a field goal, fine. We'll come down and we'll kick another field goal and win the game. That's, again, a lot of that, I think, comes back to veteran leadership, and it starts with coaching. And hey, all the credit, for years I busted on Jason Light because they didn't have a good team. I think just Jason Light has proven himself to be an elite executive in the National Football League.
You need time to be able to try. And I think a lot of that goes to the Glazers. Not enough people you don't see that in professional sports. General managers don't have time to be able to completely flip the narrative. Like, it's gone 180. Because if the Glazers would have said bye-bye to Jason Light, before the Brady years, because of the things that have happened, the Aguayo decision, some of these other draft picks, I don't think anybody would have said they were out of the realm of possibility, or like they didn't have any type of, cause for being able to do that. But they gave him time, and he's been able to turn it around. Let's finish off talking some Lightning.
You scared the heck out of me, Jay, a minute ago. I was listening to you. What's going on with Andrei Vasilevskiy, man? 5
straight practice days missed. They didn't practice yesterday, so it's 6 straight days. Their first game's October 9th against the Ottawa Senators. Cooper's trying to temper expectations with everything. I don't think it's going to be long-term, but my thing is that just like with every sport, Tom, right? Preparation is key, right? And how regimented a guy like Andrei Vasilevskiy is, and he's going to need his time, and you're not just going to be like, all right, hey, you didn't practice, you didn't get any kind of games, you didn't do anything, and boom, you're going to start opening night. You keep pushing the clock back. I don't think he's going to be – I said if he's not on the ice on Monday, I don't think he'll be ready for the regular season. It's September 25th. Opening night's going to be here before you know it. But taking that aspect of it out, where are you at when it comes to the Tampa Bay Lightning? I still think they're short of the elite. They're going the same route they did after 2019. Let's not upset the apple cart. Minor moves here. I still think they need a little bit more juice. Where are you at with the Bolts?
I agree with you on that. I think they were let's face it, when you're elite for as long as they were elite, and they went through a 3-year stretch there, got into 2 years, they won the cup, and then, really, you could almost even go back to the year that they got swept by Columbus. That was an elite hockey team, and that is something been building since 2015 or whatever, when they went to the finals against the Blackhawks. So they were an elite top 3 or 4 team in the league for a lot longer than elite teams usually go. You know? made them an historically great team. 11 straight playoff series wins. That was incredibly important. They were going to take a step back. And I think they have. I think you put it well, Jay. They're still really good. They're not at that elite level. The thing that's interesting to me is, and I think this is the way hockey teams always operate, is you get into the playoffs, everybody in the playoffs is good. Teams often look like, who eliminated us? How did we get eliminated? And so you look back last year and say, okay, if we'd have gotten anybody but Florida in the first round, would we have gotten another round or two? Like, we ran into the one team that we didn't match up well against, and that team went on to win the Stanley Cup for the second year in a row. So you could almost make an excuse like, we're getting knocked out by the one team that's
I hate that.
It's a dangerous game
because it's like you're almost thinking that it's like fighting. It's matchups, right? Just because like they beat the next team doesn't mean you would have beat that team. You may be a worse matchup for somebody else. So there's no guarantee just because they didn't play Florida. Right? Just because they beat Florida doesn't mean they would have beaten everybody else. I think there's a huge hole in that rationale because you've also lost to Toronto a couple of years ago in the first round. So there's no guarantee that if you would have played Toronto, you wouldn't have lost that either. And okay, well, that's fine if that's what you're not you, but if that's what your rationale is, shit, you got to beat everybody to be the cup anyway. And when you've already set the bar that high. To me, it's cup or bust for the Lightning with this crew that they have.
It's always dangerous when you try to prepare to beat one team. Like, you're starting to see that with, I think the Ravens are starting to put their roster together, like to beat Kansas City and to beat Buffalo. And then all of a sudden you're like, now we're having trouble with Detroit or whatever. So that's the way the Lightning, I think they clearly the moves they made last year was like all in an effort. We need to beat the Florida Panthers in the playoffs. Then they had some injuries that went wrong and everything. But I'm with you on this, Jay. The other thing, this is going to sound like a really this is going to sound like an insult, and it's not meant to be. I think the slight step back that they've taken is because Victor Hedman is slightly not as good as he used to be. And I say that with the utmost respect for Victor Hedman, because I think I've said this. I don't know how many people agree with me. I say Victor Hedman is the greatest athlete in Tampa Bay sports history. I really believe that.
I like that.
He is the reason why they got knocked out of the playoffs by Columbus, because he had a concussion and missed half of that series. And he is the reason they won Stanley Cups. But you can't play at that elite level forever. Now, look, I'm not sitting here. He's still like, where would you rank him, like defenseman in the league? Still top 10, right?
Well, no, that's the point. And I brought this up the other day. You're not alone. For many years, he was 1 or 2 or 3. Now he's 5 to 7. That's where he's at.
And that's certainly
but
not
that's the thing. Like, it's not a shade at all. But like,
and I'm not blaming him like, oh, it's Victor Hedman's fault they're not winning. I don't mean it like that.
No,
but they haven't made. That's the one, other than goaltending, which you can say about every team in the league. Like, I've always said, like, he's the one guy you can't afford to lose. Like, I'd rather lose. I hate to, Kucherov, who's the top 5 player in the league, probably. I'd almost rather play a month without Kucherov than a month without Hedman, even now. But you're right, Jay. I feel like the window is still open, but it's closing, and I'm not sure they're ever going to get back to that elite level. And then I'm curious what happens after that. Like, the thing I really respected, and Julian Brisebois did it. It was hard to do, Jay. He walked away from Steven Stamkos because it's something that the Chicago Blackhawks should have done years ago with Kane and Taves, and they didn't do it, and Duncan Keith. It's something the Penguins should have done long ago with the whole Crosby, Malkin, Letang, and they didn't make the move, and now where are they? Brisebois has sort of made a tough decision, brought in Jake Getzel, which was, let's be honest, it was an upgrade over Steven Stamkos. So he's willing to make some moves to keep it going, but I mean, you got to do it while Kucherov and Hedman are still elite players.
And Point and some of these other guys.
Yeah, Braden Point, sure, and Anthony Cirelli and so on. Yeah.
Tom Jones, Pointer Institute. This won't be the last time we catch up and talk, my friend. This has been a ton of fun, and John Mamola even stopped in. Long live the sports stage. You got that right. Well, where can everybody find you and all keep in contact?
Go to Pointer, POINTER.org. My stuff's up there. I have a newsletter that you can subscribe to. And I also have a podcast, the Pointer Report podcast. My latest guest was Chuck Todd, former moderator of Meet the Press. So that comes out every other Wednesday. You find it on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
Beautiful. Tom, I appreciate the time, man. Give my love to the fam. We'll talk to you again soon, buddy.
Thanks for having me, Jay. Keep up the good fight, brother.
Thank you, my man. The one and only Tom Jones. Give me 1 second. Hold on. I got to send this to Avery. We got Chas Nimrod joining us here. No, it's not the one from yesterday. Hold on. Hold on, fellas. Stream here. All right, there we go. Chas Nimrod. How great was that, man? Unbelievable. Tom Jones, Pointer Institute. Go check him out. Really, really good stuff. Long live the sports page is right. Talking a little bit of everything, man. Talking Rays, talking Bucks, talking Lightning. We could definitely go on for a long time talking all things Tampa Bay sports. But yeah, check him out, Pointer Institute. Then that podcast, Tom W. Jones. Really, really good stuff with him. We definitely got to have him on again. Really, really awesome. Going back to the Rick and Tom days, like it's been a lot of fun. Those guys know exactly just the ins and outs of the Tampa Bay sports world. That is right. All right. We're going to keep the good vibes going. No doubt about it. And we're going to bring in on the program USF standout wide receiver Chas Nimrod in the house. Chas, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
Not much. I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much, man. So glad to be able to get you on the pod today. How was practice today over there?
It was really good. It was hot. It was a hot day. It was one of those days where, like, you look up, it's not a cloud in sight, just the sun. There's no breeze, but it was good. It was good practice.
Yeah, it's funny. In other parts of the country, it's starting to cool down on September 25th, but us here in the Tampa Bay area, we're like, nah, it's still steaming, Willie beaming out here. What's the mindset on a week like this, Chas, with no games this weekend? Obviously, it's been a crazy first start to the season, but what's the mindset as you guys have a weekend where you don't have a game?
Definitely just get into the, look at where you can improve from the games before. So just like cleaning up everything, focus on the fundamentals of things, and just getting back to the basics of everything. And then also not like taking your foot off the pedal. Like you can't get lax during a bye week because it is time to like recover. But when you get opportunities to go out and practice, it's time to like go practice and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
What about yourself? What are some of the things you have to work on? I mean, you've had such a great start to the season. We'll talk more in a bit here about the rapport with you and Byron. But at this point of the year, what are you looking at? What are you trying to improve on when it comes to your game?
At this point, definitely just playing like football, playing out, and then continuing to get more in tune with the run game and help in that aspect.
What about, again, I just mentioned the rapport with Byron Brown. What has worked so well for you and him? Because we know when it comes to the deep shot, man, it's all about timing. It's all about the repetition. It's about the time that you put in on the practice field. What has worked out so well with you and Byron so far this year?
Definitely the relationship we've been able to build over my time being here, and just communication on the field and like off the field, but definitely more on the field, just like last week. Ball thrown and stuff, and I'll tell him. But definitely just communicating day in and day out about practice and watching film together, stuff like that.
What is it like when he lofts up one of those deep passes and you're just waiting for it to come down? That's got to be awesome, man. When you got the defender beat, the ball is just up there forever. I mean, what's going through your mind right there? Is it, I'm going to score a touchdown? Is it, please get here? Make sure I two hands. What is going through your mind when you have one of those deep shots coming your way and that ball's floating in the air?
I mean, definitely a lot of stuff runs through my mind, but my main thing is just like see the ball into my hands, whatnot, just like catch the ball, really just catch the ball, and then once I catch it from there, figure out what I do after that. But definitely a lot of things go through my mind, quick in that little time the ball's in the air, a lot of things, something like don't drop the ball, maybe what celebration after, but the main thing is really just catch the ball. and then we'll see what happens.
What are you doing to get ready for games? Like, are you one of those guys? Are you a big music guy? Are you one of those, because I've heard everything from like hardcore metal to gangster rap to some people like classical, some people like gospel, like some people like to calm it down. Some people like to ramp it up. Where are you at when it comes to whether you're a music guy before? How do you get ready for a game? I'm
normally pretty chill before the game. Like I don't try and get too like amped up. I don't try and like find myself like being too low. I normally try and listen to like some frequencies and like vibration frequencies before,
Okay.
like at some point, like meditate a little bit. Then, yeah, but I just really try and keep my headspace and like be like where I'm at, like where my feet are at right now. Like that's what I've been trying to do a lot this year is just like tell myself that like be where I'm at, like where my feet are at right now. Like don't like nothing else matters but like what I'm doing right now. And then I kind of just try and like take it like slow, like the process, like what am I gonna do next? Like, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of keep it like nothing too crazy.
I was doing some research on you, and I found out that you were a soccer player as a kid growing up before the football days. How much of that are you able to kind of take into how you're being a successful wide receiver right now? And do you follow soccer at all? Do you watch it at all, or was it just something that you played growing up?
I watch it occasionally now, like when it's on TV. Like I'll sit and watch a game. But I think how it translates over was like my feet. Like you have the footwork and like soccer is like crazy. Like because obviously you're playing with your feet.
Yeah.
Playing the ball like with your feet. So like the footwork, it's like different from like you. I feel like I was able to translate over. So like my feet I already had like coordination with like my feet, so that like helped translate to like route running, and then also the endurance from soccer, like go from running like running miles, so like you run like 10 minutes in soccer, honestly.
Right.
Like playing like soccer games where to like I know football's like the flow of the game is different, like it's a little more like you could say chill in soccer, not chill, but it's like you aren't doing like you do something. So it's like that helps translate over, even though that's pretty offense, or like that definitely helps being like a high tempo offense.
Talk about your relationship with Alex Golish. I know it goes back to the Tennessee days. What are your first memories of meeting him, and what was that conversation like to get you here to play at USF?
Our relationship has grown a lot over the years. Started when I was in high school. But I've always been like I've always been a fan of him. Like super nice guy. He's always like super honest. Like he's gonna tell you how it is. I like that. And then it really wasn't like hard for me to like make this decision of like coming here. Like once he texted me because like I'm like the relationship like you said, I'm very like comfortable and like I can be myself like in the environment. So that definitely helped a lot.
No doubt about it. And you have a guy like Byron Brown in that offense. I mean, it just seems like, did you feel like was this what you expected when you came to USF? Like, this is how you felt like you were going to fit into the offense? Is there more that you can tap into, you think?
I could definitely tap into more, but honestly didn't really know what to expect. I didn't really go in with any expectations. I kind of came in just like thinking like, how can I improve my like self and my like process of everything. But knowing like how I play football, like my like skill set, I like knew I could help in this aspect of like, you know what I'm saying, like deep post and stuff.
Yeah. What was it like with that win in Gainesville, man, against the Gators? I know just talking to somebody, it was one of the biggest wins in program history. What was it like to be there in the swamp, walking off that field, knowing you just beat Florida there in their house?
It was awesome. It was super good feeling. That'll be like one that you remember forever for sure. And being in the swamp was cool. I never won a game in the swamp before. It's not an easy thing to do either, like hostile environment, but it was awesome. Like, it was cool to be with the guys.
What's the focus now, Chaz, as you get after this week? You know, you're starting conference play. I mean, what's going to be the key to carry over some of the success in the first couple of weeks to try to get this team to win a conference championship and beyond?
Just take it one game at a time. Like, I know, like, in the conference, like, there's like maybe like rival games, some like people look forward to, like, but it's just taking it 1 week at a time and focusing on ourselves. And controlling like what you can control. So definitely just improving ourselves in practice and being more detail oriented throughout the rest of the season. I think like that'll help us be able to win a conference championship.
Do you guys talk about those goals of winning the conference championship or making a? I mean, I know you guys talk about being very present and being where your feet are and taking it one day at a time. But do you guys set the goals on what you think the season's going to be like, or no?
Like, I mean, like, not. I know it's in the back of everybody's head, but
Right.
it's not like communicated. Like, I just think if you like take it one week at a time, like at the end, like once it's all over, you like pick your head up and like see where you're at.
It'll be there. Yeah, it'll be there. All right, last thing. What are you doing outside the football field? Still hanging out with your cat? What's Chas Nimrod's day after he leaves USF Football?
I'm about to go golf, actually.
Wow. Are you a golfer?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm like a 9-hole golfer. Like, 18 holes is like kind of crazy. It's a lot of time. I'll go play 18 holes, but and then like the driving range, I'll go to the driving range. And just like going to get good eats around Tampa. Like, I like just going out like to get food, a little restaurant, catch a vibe, and then like come home and chill, hang out with my cat again.
Who's the best golfer on the team?
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't played with too many people on the team yet. Probably one of the specs, one of the specialists. The specialists are always good at golf.
That's their thing, right?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Well, Chaz, thank you so much for your time, man. I appreciate you. Been kicking ass in the beginning of the season. We're so glad you're here in the Tampa Bay area. Continue success, man. Stay healthy, and enjoy the quote unquote, semi week off. And we'll see you next week at the game. Go Bulls, my man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Got it, buddy. Good stuff. Chas Nimrod here on the program. Man, Bulls got a good one there, man. That big receiver, the guy that can make plays over the top. He is such a huge part of this offense. And we're very lucky to be able to see him do his thing with Byron Brown, Alex Golish, and that Bulls offense. All right. Good stuff on the show today. Let me make sure that I didn't miss anything here. Justin Fields returns to practice. He's going to start if he's cleared. Jamie Benn, Dallas Stars, captain out at least 4 weeks with a collapsed lung. Again, Sasha Barkov helped off the ice. That's just wild, man. Wild. And what does that mean for the Tampa Bay Lightning as they get ready to try to win the season or win the division? We shall see. I think that's it, guys and gals. All right. A big thank you to all of our guests today. What a show. Tristan Wirfs spoke today. He said it was relief when doctors finally discovered there was something wrong with the knee because it wasn't getting better. I wasn't crazy. He said nothing had been in pain before. Now he's pain-free and could play Sunday. I'm going to tell you this. You ain't going to let a guy speak to the media if he ain't playing on Sunday. So there you go. There you go. All right. A big thank you to Tom Jones, to Chas Nimrod, and to our first guest, Dr. Rodriguez, who absolutely crushed it. I can't wait. I cannot wait to be able to chat with him every Thursday at 12:30. Evara Health, a big shout out to our sponsor, Evara Health, or our partner, Evara Health and Custom Builders, the Honest Hammer Style, 813-244-0956. Guys, follow me on all social media platforms at Recher. Like and subscribe. You can find me everywhere. Epic show. Thank you very much. Shout out to our Manchester boys pulling a dub. They got to win this weekend against Brentford. And man, the super chats. I can't thank you guys enough. Chan with the $5 super chat. Lady Evil with the $5 super chat. You guys are the best. Continue to help me out here on the program. Whew. It's just getting bigger and better every single day here on the Jay Recher podcast. And I could not do it without you. Great show, probably the best so far. Well, thank you very much, Lady Evil. We're going to continue to set that bar higher and higher and get better here on the program. Again, follow me at Jay Recher. We got a Friday show, Football Friday tomorrow. Probably do a little bit of a power hour to get everything in and ready to go. USF off this weekend, the Bucs and the Eagles on Sunday. My final predictions, final injury reports. We'll get into that tomorrow on the program. I love you all. Oh, tonight, make sure at 8 o'clock, I think it's 8 o'clock, 7 or 8 o'clock on Fox 13, Jada Vidal, our very good friend. If you remember Chef Jada, she's been on the shows here in the Tampa Bay area a bunch. She's on Hell's Kitchen tonight with Gordon Ramsay, Fox 13. Again, it's 7 or 8 o'clock. Hold on. Let me look it up real quick. Hold on. Jada Vidal. Tonight, 8 o'clock. Oh, no, that's something else. She's been on TV so many freaking times. Fox tonight, 8 p.m. tonight. Hell's Kitchen, 24. Jada Vidal. She's representing the state of Florida, so go check her out. And support her, Hell's Kitchen. Gordon Ramsay, going to be fun. 8 o'clock on Fox 13. Again, a big thank you to Chas Nimrod, Dr. Rodriguez, Tom Jones, and you. Follow me on all social media platforms at Jay Recher. Shout out to Honest Hammer and Evara Health. Everybody have a wonderful Thursday, whether you're here in the Tampa Bay area or abroad. I love you all. See you tomorrow at noon right here on the Jay Recher podcast. I'm gone.